Welcome to the Local Marketing Podcast, brought to you by Thrive Fuel. Now, here's your host, Jason Holmes.
Okay, so welcome everybody back to another edition of the Local Marketing Podcast. So it's myself again with Shannon Ellisor, and we are joined by an unfamiliar face and voice to some of you, but not unfamiliar to us here. This is Blakely Young. She is our lead account manager for the southeastern region of the U.S. So we're excited to have Blakely on for her first podcast, and go ahead and get her introduced the Local Marketing Podcast way. And Blakely, what are you drinking today?
I am drinking rosé.
Yum.
I don't think anyone's done wine yet.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Which rosé?
That is my drink of choice, always.
Is it from a vineyard in your area, from California? Where's it out of? Do you know?
I don't.
You don't? Is it
It's
from a box?
around the street, down the street at the liquor store.
Did it come out of a box or a bottle or a can?
Bottle.
A bottle. Okay. You all bougie with your bottled wine.
Yeah.
I just asked my husband. I'm sure he would agree with that statement.
So I'm not going to tell the story, and those that know this story know why I'm not telling this story, but there was a time years ago that I accidentally drank almost an entire box of wine by myself. Yeah, that face. Yeah, there's so much to unpack in that story, and we won't go into that, and we'll just say Shannon learned her lesson. It was very painful.
Yeah. Well,
painful.
With that being said, Shannon, what is it you were drinking today?
All right. So this is a little something different. One of our clients is a boutique liquor store, chain of liquor stores in the Victoria area called Texas Liquor. And they do what they call barrel picks of different whiskeys, tequilas, vodkas, rums, things of that nature. And so this is the Contigo 1530 Raspado tequila.
Ooh.
So this is aged in Napa Valley French white oak Cabernet barrels for 6 months. So it's delicious on its own. But what makes this unique is the fact that it is a barrel that Texas Liquor bought and had bottled specifically for their customers. So generally, when you get when you buy spirits, it's kind of a blend of all of these barrels, and then they bottle them together. But each barrel will have very distinct characteristics and some nuances and flavors and on the nose. And so these bottles are unique, and you can only get these in Victoria, Texas, and you can only get them at Texas Liquor. And the flavor profile on this tequila is just amazing.
That is insane.
You get white.
I'll be sending you my deeds and payments for you to
It's a sipper by itself. Generally, tequila gives me heartburn, and it's all burn. But the myriad of flavors in this, it's like spring in a cup. It is beautiful.
Yeah. Next time I'm in the office, I'm going to have to take a peek of that.
Yeah.
So speaking of new and different things, we hadn't had rosé on this show before. Tequila, I think, is making its first appearance. Well, I'm doing a first as well. So this might be wise or unwise, but as most of our listeners know, I train Chinese martial arts, usually right after recording these podcasts. So I have to be careful what I drink before I go do a lot of really intense movements. So I decided I'm doing coffee with a twist. So Texas listeners will be familiar with HEB branded coffee. It's good on its own. For those of you who aren't from Texas, I'm sorry that you'll never get to experience HEB. But what I've done differently with this blend, I just put it through an espresso maker, made myself a simple Americano with some cream. But last weekend, my lady partner and I celebrated 10 years in the Hill Country. We went to a chocolate store, and I picked up, and I still have it. It's in my fridge. I've been taking pieces off of it periodically, but it's a Mayan chocolate bar. It's in the shape of the Mayan calendar. So it's dark cocoa. I mean, like 85% cacao, right? Very bitter, with red pepper flakes and cayenne pepper.
Oh, that sounds
Thank-
awesome.
I poured
It
my hot
does.
shots of espresso and hot water onto it, mixed it all up. So now I'm getting this, Mexican Altura coffee with that dark spicy chocolate blended in. God, this tastes amazing.
Okay, now you need to bring that chocolate in, and we're going to do the same thing at the office.
Deal.
Yeah.
Deal.
Awesome.
Everyone needs to experience this. It's too good.
And if you'll ask Amanda, she says that coffee and tequila go really well together. That's kind of a morning thing in the forest. So
I think I might have done that once or twice. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think we are all geared and ready to go. And this week is a great one. Jason has spoke with Karissa Winters, who is leading a very unique, very interesting thing here in our area called the Innovation Collective. So we're really excited to get into this. And so everyone enjoy Jason and Karissa.
Well, thanks for joining us today of the Local Marketing Podcast. We have a very special guest today from Victoria, Texas. It's Karissa Winters, and she is currently the community lead for the Innovative Collective, which is a nationwide organization helping towns to foster an entrepreneurial spirit and helping local businesses and the community overall grow. And we're really excited to hear about that because that really ties into local marketing for any type of business or organization. So thank you for being here, Karissa.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I was looking over your bio and I thought it was interesting that it says that you were born into a multi-generational family of entrepreneurs, and not everybody can say that. So what can you tell me about that in your history?
Yeah, so it goes way, way back. And I guess I'll just start it at my great-grandparents on my mom's side. They actually owned restaurants and bars, and they have a really interesting story with that in Houston. It's called the Reno Club, and they would have people ride horses into the bars. They also had, at the time, they had some overweight women who came in and people would not hire them. So when my grandmother found out about this, she was very upset. And she not only hired them, she made them the stars of the show. They roller skated, they did everything. And she showed that no one will ever be turned down for a job with them. And if someone treated someone badly, that they were going to take a stance, and not only take a stance, but they were going to make it known that those people were amazing. So that's where that started. Then they opened hotels after that. And then my grandmother opened a cafe. On my other side, my grandmother had her own daycare as well as a thrift store. Then my dad, he was a singer, songwriter, did the whole thing, tour, had the first music video on CMT. My mom helped form the Austin Art League, and then they opened restaurants and bars. So, my brother has a computer company. So we're pretty entrepreneurial over here. And everything that a lot of us have done has always been to help others and for the greater good. And as that story that I told you about my grandmother, we always want to give the underdogs or people who are treated badly a platform. And it's really cool to see how that's carried on through my family, my cousins, and other people in my, and I guess my lineage. So
it's awesome. All in Texas, or
all in Texas? Yes.
Okay. So the club in Houston, what was that one called again? Go ahead.
The Reno Club.
The Reno Club. Okay. What years would that have been active?
So that was around like the 1940s.
Okay.
1940s, 50s. Yeah. So it was big band time. They had big acts come in. It was really a fun time when you used to go out and you would eat dinner and you would see a show. And I wish they would bring that back more. I love that. I love the entertainment aspect of that. Yeah. An experience, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to get outside of the major metros and sometimes not even there. So that's awesome. So now you're in Victoria.
Yes.
How did you land in Victoria, and when did that all take place?
Okay, so I'm originally from Edna, Victoria. I moved around a little bit when I was younger, lived in Austin. My dad had a show in Vegas, traveled there. And then as he kind of retired from music, my grandparents Warren Edna, my grandmother, as well as my great grandmother, and my other grandmother, as well as aunts and uncles were in the area, and Victoria. So I grew up in between Edna, and then I ended up moving to Victoria. So my roots are here. I since moved away, traveled all over, and I came back. And, I think a lot of it had to do with my mom passed away last year, and my dad and brother lived here. And I really started looking at my life and thinking, what's really important? And it's to be around family and to have my kids around family. Now they're closer to both their grandparents, and as well as they have an autism school here in Victoria. My daughter's autistic. So that was really amazing that they had that in Victoria also, because she's what they used to be deemed as Asperger's. Now it's high functioning. So it's really hard for her to find a spot where she belongs, where she can get the help she needs, because she excels in so many areas, but there are some areas that she really needs help, and she learns differently. And to have the bridge program, the Vine School here, is amazing. So I came back, and so before I came back, I actually did an art show here, and I was donating back to the Vine School. And what was interesting about that is that I met a lot of artists. I saw that there was a big shift and a change starting to happen in Victoria. And so I started driving down from Houston and teaching these classes for free at the Art League, to help people know how to price their art, what it looks like starting a business, just because I really saw that those were tools that people didn't exactly have, but they were hungry to learn them. So I just thought, I've lived my life. I've created all these businesses of my own, and I wish someone would have done that for me. So it's a way that I could give back. Well, then I was told about this job with Innovation Collective. I did a big interview process, waited for a while, and then I finally heard back that I got it, which was amazing, because I had already committed to moving here because school was starting, and I knew my daughter's going to 6th grade next year. So we all remember junior high, right? How fun that is. So I really wanted to have her in a space where I could worry less, and I knew that she was an environment where she would thrive.
That's awesome. Well, that's I didn't know that. We actually have a lot in common. I actually lost my mother last year.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that on your side as well. And actually, my middle daughter is autistic. So
how did I not know this?
That's I know.
My whole books that I do, I started a publishing company. I started writing books to donate back to help with autism, because there's a lot of gaps in help with that. And going to a special school can be very expensive, getting the resources and tools you need, getting service dogs, and so that's what started me on the journey of writing books. I actually started writing sensory stories I have it here, and it wasn't on purpose, but sensory stories.
Awesome.
A cat is born change colors depending on how they're feeling. And this is about a puppicorn who was born differently without a horn. So it addresses kind of the things that autistic kids go through, but it relates to any kids. Sometimes I say I should have wrote a book about processing emotions for adults, right? I should, but it was cool because I ended up doing it for autistic kids. And then it ended up being used for stroke victims after my mom had a stroke. And I went to the hospital, visit her all the time. One of the top doctors in that industry was there, and she asked me what I did. She ordered my book, and she started using it for stroke victims, because a lot of them lose that portion about emotions and control. And so it was a way, and they kind of revert back. So it was a way that she could teach them. So I always tell everyone, when you're starting a business or doing something for the right reasons, you're never going to go wrong. But in starting a business, you never know your idea, what you had, what it can end up turning into.
Sure,
so it's always so interesting.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to get the links to your books so that we can include them in the show notes.
And I'll have to give you some too. I'm so whenever I meet someone, they have someone in their family with autism, or especially a child, you have, because you're probably feeling that too. You automatically have a bond, because you're like, I see you. I know what you go through. I know what it's like.
Yep, absolutely. And my daughter, she turned 18 last year. She's getting ready to graduate. So she's actually in Missouri now. Wow. She spends the summers here, and they're just neat kids. I mean, they think of things that are completely different, and I mean, it's just you connect with them in different ways than you do, your normally functioning children, I guess is what you
Yeah, my
say.
8-year-old son, it is very different.
Sure.
But like you get it. And when I explain to people, I say, she has taught me
Oh,
so much
absolutely.
because I love her pure honesty. If
Yep.
someone offers her something, she doesn't want it, she'll say, thank you, but no, thank you. I'm just really not into that. And that would be a big waste to give that to me.
Right.
So I love her honesty, and I love how her mind works. She does these mascot costumes, and they're so amazing. And she taught herself all of this. She watches YouTube tutorials, draws these characters. She already codes and is making things. She has a whole life plan. So it's really cool to see when she gets that hyper focus of her special interest, get out of her way, because she is going into it,
No, I could go on and on about that for sure.
I know. When she was first diagnosed, I thought, okay, I don't know a lot about it. I knew about it, but I didn't know about it.
Right.
So I thought, okay, I have one or two ways I can go. I can be a woe is me, I have a special needs kid, bury my head in the sand, ignore it, all those things. Or I can say, okay, I can learn as much as I can about it and not only help her, but also help other people, because I know what I'm feeling right now. So other people must feel that too. So I called Temple Grandin, who she's like, she has autism, world renowned, the movie and all this stuff. And I called her because she was in Colorado, and I said, hey, I don't want to take up much of your time, but what is the one piece of advice that you would give me as a newly diagnosed mom of a child with autism? And she said, I would take whatever she is into, her special interest, use that, take it and run with it.
Yep.
And she loved unicorns, cats, and butterflies, hence the catacord. They're everywhere now, but we're the OG.
Yeah.
Everyone, when I first started doing that, they're like, what is a catacord? And now it's funny because you see them everywhere. I'm like, I knew it.
It's awesome. Wow. Well, I look forward to going through your books and sharing those with my daughter. That'll be awesome.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So, and there she is behind you.
Bowen, say hi.
Hi there. Hi. How are you doing today?
Yes, you can go play outside.
Awesome. Well, kids are still allowed to do that. I wasn't sure. It doesn't seem like.
Yeah, well, I could see all
That's
outside.
awesome.
So yeah, and their dad can see too. So
good.
That's what's great about Victoria, is that my kids can play outside. They're still supervised always, but it's nice that they have a neighborhood they can ride their bicycle around.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't have that everywhere, that's for sure. So so tell me, the Innovative Collective, how did it make its way to Victoria? What's really the idea behind it overall, and that you can share with our audience, and what surprised you about it along the way?
With Innovation Collective, it got here because I know that there were people who were hearing about it, and they were like, why does our community not have that? So people started talking about it. And then I know the university and the city and everyone got together, and they're like, we need to bring this here, because living in this community, you can notice quickly when you have an idea, where do you even go with that? Where do you even take that? And also there was an issue with connectivity. A lot of people just assume people know each other. Yeah, you might see each other at a Christmas party or at something at school with your kids or at church. But how well do you really know these people? And how do you connect with them? Do you really hang out with them? And do you know all of the things that are swirling around in their head? So they got together, they formed an initiative to get this here. And it's really important with their community leads. Like for me, I grew up here, and even though I moved away, I always came back here and spent time here. So I never was truly gone, so, and I still remain friends with everybody. So I knew growing up here what it was like to be an entrepreneur and to have all these big ideas. But I moved away because I had nowhere at that time to take them. So locally. So I know how that feels, and I don't want people to have to feel they have to move to all these other cities to do something great. We have a college here, a university. We do have an amazing city to where I look at us as a hub and the other cities as a spoke, to where you can create here and it's easy to get out to these bigger cities,
right?
And so what surprised me along the way is how this really is, we pride ourselves on a grassroots movement. is how people support and cheer each other on in our community. You know, when you're a baby and you're learning to walk, everyone's like, yay, you fall. They're like, it's okay, you've got this. As we grow up and we try to do things, people generally point out what's negative or our failures. They
Sure.
don't look at the good things, or they don't cheer us on. You know, so it can get very hard to be an entrepreneur and have these big ideas, but not even know where to look for resources or help. So that's where we come in. Is it's more than just a Shark Tank thing where we're like, oh, hey, throw money at your idea, that's great, and then you move off or go off in the sunset. We're more, yes, we can fund your ideas, but it starts with connecting people, having our events like Coffee and Concepts, where we sit and talk about something innovative that's going on in the world, and then say, hey, what are you working on? And then someone says, wait, you're working on that? I actually know someone doing that. Oh, well, I'm actually working on something like that too. You know, it's in real time, you see it happening. So that's also what surprised me. One day a guy's like, I wish we had a teen center. You know, that really helped me as a youth. I don't know where I'd be today. I had lunch about a couple hours later and told the ladies at the lunch that, and one of them's like, you know what, that aligns with what I'm doing, let's do it. And now she's doing it. So in real time, a couple hours later from when someone said something they wished that we had, it happened. People have created businesses. People who were never working together are now working together. And I think that's so important because as a business owner, as you probably know this, we're so busy running our businesses that we're not out there having time to be like, hey, let's partner. Hey, let's work
Right.
together. We do try, but it's hard. And so I think if there are people connecting people, like now that I know you, I'll be like, hey, I know him. And you know, he actually does this. You should go talk to him and connect with him. And if I send you a text that's like, hey, you really need to talk to this guy, I'm going to do a connecting text. You'll be like, okay, if you're saying I need to talk to this guy, sure, let's do
Right.
it. So it kind of takes out that legwork for people too, when you're having people in the community saying, hey, let's connect with this person. Oh, hey, I know a person. So then that connectivity starts getting, and then you have this great energy in the city because people are cheering each other on, they're lifting each other up. It's no longer that lack scarcity mindset. It's that abundance mindset of, you know what, if you can do it, then I can do it too. I always go back to this story that one of my buddies, who's a really well-known restaurateur, one of the most successful ones, he opened a steakhouse, and it was across the street from another steakhouse. And it was the most successful steakhouse in the city. And he told them, hey, if you don't have more business than you've ever had in this first year, I will close my doors. And everyone's like, how could you be opening a steakhouse across from the best steakhouse? And he's like, I know what I'm doing. Trust me. That steakhouse not only had more business than they've ever had in a year, they had the best year to date that they had because his vibe was different than theirs. So people who normally wouldn't go to that steakhouse were like, hey, maybe we should check that out. And then vice versa. So if you can have that across the street, you know, it's that abundance mindset. Just like if you've been to Houston, you see all the Starbucks in River
Oh,
Oaks on the
sure.
corner.
Yep.
Okay. Like if they can do it, anyone can do it. So I think that's about how it's thinking, right? Having a growth mindset and realizing that we're all in this together. We're better when we work together. We don't have to look at each other as competition. We can look like, hey, maybe we do the same thing, but what do you not do? And I can recommend people to you for this, and you recommend people to me for that. And let's figure out how there's enough for everybody.
Right. Right. No, that's awesome. And especially in a town, like you said, like Victoria, that is so centrally located. You know, we're a 2-hour drive from like 20 million people in either direction. So yeah, there's definitely an abundance of opportunity for every type of business. And you know, it doesn't really matter what kind of business you're in. You're not really competing the same way that you were, say, you know, pre-internet days, those types of things. So that is awesome. Do you see the Innovation Collective? Is it something that is a prequel to something like a business incubator, or is that part of the roadmap?
So that is part of our model that we do. We are a business incubator. We do that. We, you know, fund ideas, but we have pathways from the beginning of your idea to when you have that business and that idea too. And, we will have a physical location that's a den that will have, like a coffee shop in the middle, a co-working space, offices above, a den below. And the den is a club basically where you can have meetings, speakeasy type feel. The one in Coeur d'Alene is behind a hidden bookshelf, so it's a really cool vibe. And it's great for our city to have a space like that where you can go have meetings and get together with people in your community.
That's going to all be at 120 Main. Is that right?
Yes, downtown.
Awesome. Okay, awesome. So yeah, I was looking over the other communities that are listed on the Innovation Collective website, and it's not your metros or places that you really ever have heard of necessarily if you haven't been there. Is that by design? Is that similar cities? Have you had a chance to visit those places, or is that something that you're also doing?
Yes, I have. So I've been to Coeur d'Alene, I've been to Brooksville, and I think there was a need for this because people sometimes underestimate people from, not large cities. And we have as many ideas, if not more, so it's funny because you think about the guy who did the Lamborghini, engine, he was a farmer.
Mhm.
So we have a lot of that here. When you're doing those jobs, you have to have ingenuity and you have to think on the fly and fix things and come up with things out of nowhere. So they're creators. And I think that that's what our founder, Nick Smoot, realized is that when he moved back to his hometown of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, he saw a need for this and he saw a need in communities like ours, and it's not that we won't do work with bigger cities because we will,
Sure.
but it's just that this is what's happening right now. And I love it because I really see how it's revitalizing these cities, not only by creating more revenue and bringing companies in, but also the energy and the interaction of people with one another. So it's all across the board helping to make things better.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, I moved to Texas about 12 or 13 years ago from Youngstown, Ohio, which is a Rust Belt
I've heard of it.
town. But what it does have is one of the most successful business incubators in the country, if not the world. I mean, they've had several multi-million-dollar businesses come out of that incubator, and it's not the same thing as the Innovation Collective. Excuse me, still fighting some allergies down here, but it is very it's very similar in that ideas get funded. They have portfolio companies inside of the business incubator. They started out with a very small physical space, and they've gone on to take over like 4 or 5 buildings in downtown, like multiple floors, things like that. So I'm really excited that this is happening in Victoria. How's it all been funded? And how can people, whether they're business owners or people who have an idea, how do you get involved?
Yeah, so you can always obviously contact me, Karissa, Karissa, at innovationcollective.co. Email me. I will definitely reach back out to you. But it's funded by a success team here. And what the success team is, it was local, business owners, different people in the community who were like, we need this here. Let's get this here. And then, the city, the university, the college, there's so many entities that got together behind this because they saw a need for it. And they want people to stay here and to love it here and have opportunity here. How cool is that our community has a large group of people who believe in the people that are in our community? That's awesome. They want other people to be successful. They want cool ideas to come out of Victoria. They want to show how amazing the citizens here are. And that really was something so special to me, to see this team of people to come together to do that. And I love having a success team because I look at it as a huge group of mentors for me and a support system that if I have a question or an idea, I can float it around because they also know this community very well. And I have their support and they're cheering me on. So it's really something awesome.
Yeah, that is great.
I think if people want to get involved, like I said, reach out to me to learn more, or let's figure out what ideas are swirling around in their head or what they're thinking about as far as IC and how they want to get involved. I love to sit down and talk with people and kind of just get to know them in our community and learn what they've done and kind of where they want to go.
Awesome. Are there a certain number of new companies or ideas that the collective is looking to fund over a period of time, or how does an idea get pitched? Let's say.
So we have at our Think Big festival, we'll have pitches, but if someone has an idea, they can obviously come to me, and if it, I can say like, hey, this is something really good. I generally know, and it can also go in front. I make a phone call, send an email kind of thing. If it is an idea that I feel is tangible and can go somewhere, if you really want that idea pitch, come to me. Let's talk it. But we do have pitch days, and that's where you're going to be able to think of it as a show and tell. Like, I made this. This is what I'm worked on. This is what I wanted to do or go, whatever it may be. And then that will give you the opportunity to do that as well. So it'll be kind of like a Shark Tank thing. We're doing that at Victoria College, with the University of Houston. We're working on doing programs like that. I even want to do one with a school district and different schools in the area. But that's what we're working on right now. And if you have an idea, come to me. Let's talk about it. That's what's great. It's not a number of we're only funding so many. If it's a great idea, let's talk.
That's awesome. Yeah. So when is the Think Big Festival? Can you tell me?
So ours doesn't have a date set yet, but I will tell you that we do have a summit coming up, and that is going to be May 6th and 7th. And it is a 2-day event, and we have 100 tickets, and that's it. And it is usually a charge for that, but we are actually letting the community go to this one, no charge.
Okay.
And it's the head of Amazon Renewable Energy, Nat Salstrom.
Wow.
So that's huge. Yeah. And then Rebecca Darling, who's the head of mining and just the top in her industry as well. So talk about a powerhouse team coming into Victoria. Like, are you kidding me? You're going to get to be around these people, get to talk to these people. This is huge. And these are the kind of opportunities that we provide to the community, is bringing these people in. And it's not just an event that you come, you're going to get involved. It's going to be amazing. You are going to have so much self growth. And it's just an experience that is going to create one of those core memories in your life. And it's going to bring people in our community together. And so, yeah, May 6th and 7th, 100 tickets. I'm about to launch that. So stay on the lookout for that.
Awesome. Yeah. And we'll get your text messages and emails if we're signed up, right, for that.
Yes, that's correct.
That is excellent. Very exciting stuff. Is there any, I know it's only really hit the ground. I mean, the first fireside chat was in January. Your last one was awesome. You've got Ben Keating coming up, I saw, for April, which will be great. So only a few months into this, you mentioned one success story. Somebody has the idea basically at lunch, and by dinner time it's happening. Any other success stories that have already happened in the Victoria implementation of this?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people working on things. Some people have non-disclosure agreements, so I can't discuss it. I tell everyone, I'm a walking non-disclosure agreement. If you tell me anything, I don't care if it's my family, my closest friend, I do not, that's business, and I will not share it unless you tell me to share your idea so you can pitch it to, our company. That's different. But, we've had everything in between businesses being started, and Crossroads Art House, which is amazing. She was starting that, and she used some of our programs, and we worked with her. And, it was so cool because I actually had my daughter's birthday party there. So it was cool to see something that someone had been talking about and working on so hard come to fruition. And she does an amazing job. And then, we've also had ideas. We actually have students right now at UHV that are working on AI as well as an app. So from Innovation Collective, ideas that we're swirling around. We also have other people who are going to be opening restaurant, different things in that kind of realm with that. We have people who have photography businesses ideas that are really different, that have really gone in and launched that, and IC has helped them. We also have ideas on programs that people are creating that is now going to go into schools as well into stores. We have everything from artists that are now actually creating NFTs I mean, it's a
Saw
lot of
that one. Yeah, that's
a
awesome.
lot of stuff, and we've only been here a few months, and I didn't even mention everything. We have some items in ag floating around, and tech, like I said, the app. It's a little bit of everything, and imagine that's only in a few months.
Yeah.
So it just shows we have amazing people in this community that you sit down next to and you probably don't even realize it. We have one guy moving his company here that he works with MIT and the Gates Foundation, and he's moving it here because of Innovation Collective. He's now going to be working with the university. So that's super exciting. And that's our goal. Our goal is to get people's ideas going, have them working with each other in the community. Yes, to fund ideas, but also to have companies and different people looking at our community to move here to create more of a workforce and really good paying jobs and to do all of that. And I always say we're the crossroads. That doesn't mean that you live here because you can go anywhere great in under 2
Right.
or less hours. I want people to be coming here. So that's the
Right.
thing I think that we have to rethink is that we are great. We have amazing things in this community. And if you dream it, you can do it. If you have an idea, you want something to be here, tell me, let's work on it. Let's figure out how to make it happen. Let's be taking action instead of complaining. There's nothing to do here.
Yeah.
I don't live here. It's so boring. Because I don't know if me and those people have the same calendar because I have so
Yeah.
much that I am never stopping. I think you're the same. So I really want to show people how amazing we are. And I think that out of all the places that I have lived, it's really awesome to see the sense of community in Victoria.
Yeah.
I
Well,
love that you go
it's
around
funny. It's funny that you say that. Everybody's saying there's nothing to do in Victoria or nothing to do. Everywhere I've lived or had a business, it seems like, unless it's someplace like Austin or Houston, it's the same complaint everywhere. Everybody thinks that their place is the most boring place, and that if I only could move someplace else, it'd be great. But no, it's about changing where you're at and what your current circumstances are.
Yep.
And if like you said, if you dream it, it can be done. So that is awesome.
Create the life you want. And that's why I tell people, come to our events, like Coffee and Concepts, Fireside Chat, those are always free. Come dip your toes in the pool per se, get out, talk to people, get those ideas out, because if they don't get out, they're just always going to be an idea.
Right.
So get them out, talk to somebody, meet people. A lot of people think, oh, I'm not like anyone here. Trust me, you will connect with someone. I will make sure of it. And, some people don't think that it's for them because they're like, I don't have an idea. Well, did you ever think that maybe something you say and your insight and your input can spark something in someone else, or vice versa? Maybe
Right.
you think you don't have an idea, but someone says something and that light bulb aha moment goes off and you say, this is for me. I see, it doesn't matter your race, your religion, your political views, whatever.
Yep.
None of that matters to us. You are welcome. Everybody is welcome. Doesn't matter your financial background, whatever. When I say that everyone's welcome, this is for everybody, it is. And when you look around the room at Fireside Chat or Coffee and Concepts, it's people from all walks of life.
Well, that's what's kind of been missing, I think, in Victoria for a while, is that there are really 2 or 3 different communities. It's people who have been there forever and had businesses forever, been there a long time, very entrenched in the political system, everything. And then there's, over the last 10 to 15 years, there have been so many people who have migrated in and don't really know anybody, and don't ever come downtown. And it's not about just downtown, it's about the community as a whole. And they just don't seem to mix with with the folks who have been there forever. But I did notice at the Fireside Chats that you do have people, like you said, from all walks of life, which is awesome to see. So
people are in their silos, and it's not that, this is the thing. It's not that those people aren't friendly or they don't want to know you. It's that maybe think that they're shy or they don't know if they can come up to you. And I make sure at the Fireside Chats, I grab people, and if they don't want to be, I won't. If they're very introverted, I'll know that. I would never put someone in that position. But generally, people want to meet people, but they need that introduction. So I'll say, hey, do you want to meet someone here? Okay, come over with me. Hey, you guys got to meet. This is so-and-so, and they do X, Y, Z. Hey, yeah, did you know they do this? And then before the end of the night, they've exchanged numbers and information. And that's so beautiful. There is nothing more amazing than me to connecting people. My nickname is a connector because for years and years and years, that has been my happy place, is connecting people together and seeing them create and do amazing things and to help each other and give each other business and, just even become friends and have a friendship.
That's awesome. That is, well, we're going to invite our audience to learn more. We'll have a lot in the show notes. Again, links to your books, links to the Innovation Collective .co website, and in your email address as well, if that's okay, so that anybody can reach out. So we appreciate you coming on the show, and I hope to learn a lot more. So
yes, it's been wonderful, and thanks. You're amazing. I really love seeing your business and everything you're doing. It's so innovative. So I do appreciate that. And I see how involved you are reaching out to the community, and your whole staff is awesome. They come to IC stuff and they're always wanting to learn more, and they have excellent input. So I appreciate everything that you're doing as well for the community.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. That team is basically their idea factory. So, they come up with things all the time. So I appreciate you mentioning that.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. That me and my business partner, yes. So me and my business partner, we're bringing back the film festival, and we did a logo contest, and one of the people that works for you actually designed the logo.
No, I saw that. She didn't even tell me. She didn't even tell me she'd entered it, and then all of a sudden there it is. She won. I'm like, wow, that is so awesome. Nancy is an excellent designer. So
she is a fantastic designer. I was like, we have got to talk about how she's at Thrive, because they have, every time I meet someone from your team, I am blown away. I'm like, this is like a great pool of talent. I want to pick your brain. Come over here.
Hey, we're happy to help out in any way we can. Excellent.
Yes, you guys have been fantastic. So thank you. And thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, glad to do it. Hope you'll come back and we can talk more.
Yes, for sure.
That was some incredible stuff. And I know Shannon and myself, we've had the opportunity to meet Karissa in person, go to some of these events and see it for ourselves. What I'm interested in, Blakely, coming in, you're not from our area specifically, and to our knowledge, there isn't the Innovation Collective in your area. So I'm really curious what you thought about something like what the Innovation Collective is about. Just really curious to see what you have to say about it.
We do have something slightly similar here, but it's not probably at the place that the Innovation Collective is. But I think the thing that I took away the most was the importance of the community over competition, right? So I have, over the course of the last few years, noticed more so than ever that scarcity mindset, almost, where if this particular business does well or this particular person does well, then it's going to take away from the success that that person might have. And I keep going back to one of my favorite Zig Ziglar quotes: you can help anything, you can have anything in the world that you want if you'll help enough people get what they want, right? Mm-hmm. And so really just sort of that importance of pouring into each other and building that sense of, really building a true community, I think is incredible.
Love that takeaway. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. And so with that, Shannon, what were some of your thoughts?
What I got, not only from her experience with Innovation Collective, but also personally as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, is that in entrepreneurship, often it's most successful and fulfilling if the big idea solves a problem. So when we look at her personally, the problem was sensory and other challenges that children with autism face, right? So that's the problem. The solution was she developed a publishing company that creates stories that help with those challenges. And then here in Victoria and other communities where Innovation Collective exists, the problem is in these smaller communities, we often don't have the resources for entrepreneurs to vet their ideas or any kind of infrastructure in place to help those with ideas to kind of move them into the reality phase. So the solution is Innovation Collective. It's this grassroots movement that is going to provide a pathway and connections and funding to help those big ideas come to fruition.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And my takeaways were very similar to the both of you. You know, the thing that stuck out was, I think she had said abundance of opportunity. And that really ties back into what Blakely was talking about. And it's not so much abundance in the sense of a market, right? So you have a business and a business's competitor and you're fighting over market share. But there are abundance of ideas and abundance of opportunity. And we've actually talked about that here locally with regards to several different types of clients and industries where, you know, you might be working with 2 to 3 to even more different types of clients in the similar industry in a similar market, but their approaches are different, right? Their audiences might be different. And rather than coming at it from a what are we doing better than them approach, it was more, hey, what can we do to where they complement one another, right? Because it does go back, you know, if you're thriving, I'm thriving, we're all thriving. Yeah. And ultimately, when we talk about, you know, a thriving local market, your community, you know, and local businesses thriving in general, yeah, it is a community effort. And I think that was a really, really huge takeaway. I'm really excited about what the Innovation Collective is going to be here for our area and in the other communities that it's in as well. And one of the things I really like about this conversation right now, again, we have clients in over 50 states. You know, Blakely, you're a testament to that because, you know, you've got a wide region where this isn't there, but these same ideas and this same kind of mindset, right, is something that we can take with us when we're talking to businesses or we're talking to thought leaders and movers and shakers in our communities. And then it's more just you know, a mindset for us as well.
Yeah.
I agree.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. So again, this was a really great week with some really good talks, and we've got a lot more in the pipeline. So definitely stay tuned. And as we continue to go forward, bringing new types of drinks and cocktails into the mix.
Yes.
And all right. Well, thank you all for sticking around, and we'll see you next time.